with every ounce of confidence we have, he would have walked up and down this stone right here. It's not 20 feet underground. It's just this is it. That blew my mind. That was the grounding moment for me.
Welcome to the Israel Collective. I'm Raj Nair, joined by, singer, songwriter, actor, producer. I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch of things. Director, husband to Moriah, Joel Smallbone. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, man. Hey, hello from Nashville.
Man,
Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. How you handling this whole situation, man? Crazy COVID season.
You know, there is one species on the planet that has just been thrilled about this whole thing, and that is the canines. This is Meriwether over here. She's a Great Dane. Man, she's been on more walks than ever. You know, here, like the dog pound in New York are like officially out of dogs, that sort of thing, which I think is amazing. So she's loving it. She literally had a limp the other day, Raj, because she'd been walking. We've been walking her so much. It's an onion, man, for me and for us. You know, in this little finite space of our marriage and our home, we feel a little unscathed only on on a day-to-day level, because when we come as musicians, and the musicians out there, you know, when you come home, you don't have all the things that someone who works from home has, like dropping the kids off, you know, soccer practice, the job, the commute. We don't have any of that. So when we come home, we're just home. And so this has literally felt like just an extended period of being home. So on that level, we've loved it. We've been cooking just behind me here. We've had more time at home than ever in our marriage. Once you start, you know, maybe pulling the layers deeper into the band and the crew and being off the road for at least the next few months and planned income, and we've got 40 odd people that are somehow associated with the King Country group. And then the global, we were talking about this off air, but the global layer of so many of these instances, be it 9/11, we were in America for 9/11, you know, be it the Paris attacks or whatever, they're always in a kind of a finite space to one group of people. Whereas this is the closest thing I think our generation has experienced to a world war. And the war is obviously not machine guns, tanks, and helicopters, but it's losing loved ones, it's losing retirements, it's losing jobs, it's everyone, rich, poor, black, white, in between, everyone's been affected by this thing. And so on that level, it can be a bit crippling as an artist, just going, where do you even start? You know,
so you've come with us to Israel once. Mariah's come with us twice. And I always find so interesting about your schedules is that, you know, like, hey, so you're hanging out with Joel this weekend? And he'd be like, no, he's in Brazil, or I'm in like Sri Lanka or something crazy. And so like for the first time, it seems like in a long time, you guys just get to focus on your marriage, which is awesome. You guys get to just be off the road for a little bit. What is it like? And this is kind of like a basic question, but then we'll get to some more interesting things. What is it like having two artists in the same household?
Well, you know, they say that opposites attract, and I do believe that is true, but I've actually come to realize, and I read a book before we got married, because one of my fears when we were we would love each other, there's the chemistry and all the rest of it, one of my fears was when we're getting married, like, we're actually too similar. And I remember reading this book, and it really debunked it. Well, it didn't debunk the opposites attract, but it said, hey, opposites do attract, but they can actually make pretty rubbish life partners if you're too opposite. You know, just day-to-day life, you know, what you want to eat, what you want to watch, what you want to do, what your hobbies are. And what's been beautiful is, like, man, we really, a lot of the same things we love. And it's only there's small degrees. We're both musicians, you know. We both really like Asian food, although she likes Mexican, she's Spanish and it's Mexican food a bit more than me. And so I know friends, and, to each his own, they've been like, man, we've had to create like margin and space and like, get away from each other. We wake up every morning and we go for a walk, or we make a meal, and then literally, and she's up there right now, she goes upstairs, and she has her office upstairs, and she works 4 or 5 hours, or so. And then I come down here and do the same. And then we basically have every evening together, and we just like, we've kind of loved it. And so
Man, that's
I
awesome.
wish there was more drama.
Yeah.
There was drama at the beginning because we've never gotten into the practice of making meals together. And so there was a little bit of like, are we going to do this? Or are we not? But we overcame that. But the most part, it's just been really special.
I the way you guys look at each other, not to get all mushy, but man, you guys are just, I love it when you guys are on the trip, and you could just tell you guys love being around each other. And I feel like I have a similar situation with my wife, is that we just want to hang out. And actually, we have a 15-month-old, and sometimes we're like, bro, can you just like take a nap for a second? We just want to be, when we're talking about our trip to Israel, it's a lot, you're learning so much, you're experiencing so much. So I want to kind of unpack a little bit of it. Just from like a 30,000 foot perspective, how did that trip, I don't know if the word change you, or just enlighten some things, or give you a new perspective?
When you read a story enough, or you look at kind of documentation, be it a history book, be it the Bible, there kind of becomes this slightly fantastic, otherworldly feeling that ends up happening. You're gonna like, oh, yeah, I believe this, but it is like, that wasn't there. And I think interestingly enough, the 30,000 foot view for Israel, for me, because it was the first time I'd ever been, as you know, was it actually grounded scripture, which is funny because it's about 30,000 feet, but it actually put flesh to something that I know well, I understand, I comprehend, I believe with every fiber of my being. There was that one moment, the day, if you remember, that we actually went to the temple, because I was really eager to get, like, I want to put a foot where Jesus put a foot, like not after 2,000 years of dirt and everything building up on top of it. No, like on the rock, whatever that thing is. And there was that one day where towards the end of the trip where you said, okay, but this is like, these are the steps. And it's with every ounce of confidence we have, he would have walked up and down this stone right here. It's not 20 feet underground. It's just this is it. That blew my mind. That was the grounding moment for me, with going, oh, it put everything, it gave flesh to the reality of it.
So was there a person that you met, or a talk that you heard, or a place that you went that maybe not necessarily changed your understanding of a certain thing, but maybe gave you an ability to better contextualize and explain a situation?
Yeah. I think I've grown up quietly believing that Christianity is actually a Western religion. Like, we're in the West. I'm from Australia, and we're kind of Western, and I live in the States now, and so you just kind of have these, mostly good, but these perspectives and attitudes towards Christianity that from a Western mindset. And I think going east, being in, the Eastern world, everything from the reality of the borders and the turmoil that's on all sides, to the ethnicity, to all of this, kind of once again, put it in the perspective of, man, this is an Eastern religion that was brought west. But in the Western world, we can end up extrapolating kind of the things that we know. I heard someone say once that we really like in the West, we like ascent, success, and there was one other A rhyme. It's slipping me right now. But in essence, we like the glory part of Christianity. But there was a day that, again, you'll remember, where we were in approximation of where the Sermon on the Mount would have been shared, and it was a perfect day. It was perfect weather. Sea of Galilee's right there, and Pastor Dave, recited it, which was astounding in and of itself, right? Like, recited
top 10
the
moments
whole
of
chapter.
my life. And
Yeah,
when he said,
I mean,
and then the birds of the air, literally just like doves were flying. Like, how did you plan that? Crazy.
It was remarkable. And being in the East, listening to a passage that I would argue we don't speak on enough, because it's not the ascent, the success, the acclamation, maybe was the third one. Blessed are the poor in spirit, these sorts of, these are the troubled ones, the meek, it's backwards to everything. That it undoes kind of a lot of what I think has been attached to Christianity. And so that was a physical moment with Dave, and obviously everyone, that started this kind of reconstruction of how I view Christianity and where I'm putting my focus as well.
When I was hanging out with you on the bus and just seeing you interact with everyone, or, I've seen you in very public settings after a concert. I just want to first off give you like props that you are super genuine. You take the time to talk to every single person that comes in contact with you. You're the same person when the camera's off as when it's on. So that's not normal all the time. So first off, I want to just say, I see that and I applaud that. But I guess a question I have is, someone so inundated with Christian culture, and it has become of part of everything that you do. What do you do when you wrestle with things, when you have struggles in your mind, when there's questions that arise? Because I feel like right now there's just a lot of uncertainty in the world for a whole myriad of reasons. But as someone who's kind of a leader in this space, what do you do when you feel the ground kind of shaking underneath you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm not an authority on suffering. I should say that. So there's many people, even in this era, that are suffering and have suffered much more than I have. Like, I haven't lost anyone close to me abruptly or tragically. When we moved to the States, we lost everything, but I was pretty young, and so I don't think I grappled with the reality of that in the way that, say, my parents did. But I also think I've had because I've been kind of in and around. I mentioned Rebecca St. James, my sister, earlier, and growing up both in Australia and in America, I was inundated, and have been, and still am inundated with this kind of Christianity church thing. And I think it actually, I'm grateful for it now, because it accelerated all the questions and the concerns, and accelerated the process, really, for me to get to a place where now, as a husband, as a musician, as a leader in certain areas, I think that my footing is actually pretty firm. There is still like the beauty of unlocking. Like, the last 2 years have been very special, and Israel was part of this, kind of maybe even the starting ground, in like turning the soil of my faith, if you will, with things like, where is God, and who is God, and how does he feel about us, and even down to things like looking at the planet, and I look at these trees out the back here and looking at them and going, man, we now in 2020 have been able to study a pretty expansive amount of the universe, and yet we look at this one tiny little planet who is just kissed with divinity. that everything grows and is beautiful. Like it's magical. I mean, it's like Pandora in Avatar, you know, but we're really here. And I think I've seen a deeper, truer version of God as an adult because of the inundation. I've almost kind of gone through the dark night of the soul and the valley of the shadow of death and come out and gone, no, I see it. And that's not to say, man, I had a tough day before yesterday. You have very real moments and questions and fears and all the rest of it. But it's about that footing, that how firm is your footing. And I actually feel very hopeful. I feel very hopeful even in the middle of COVID-19. I feel very hopeful. I feel very hopeful about the questions and the progression of humanity, actually. You know, and I don't think it's out of naivety. I think it's a worldview, but I think we're by the grace of God, I think we're trending in a good direction.
I love that. Kiss with divinity. You know, there's some worship songs and some Christian songs that I don't know why, I just kind of cry when I listen to them. And there's a couple of your songs, man, I'm like, you know what, you might have wrote that song, but there is some power behind it, man. So again, just want to applaud you that I'm take For King and Country out of this. I'm just a fan of you guys. So
thanks, man.
Just really want to encourage you in that. I guess one last question, kind of wrapping this thing up. Is there, you know, if someone who's maybe never been to Israel, or even thought about it, like, why care? You know, like what's so interesting about what, you know, why not Arkansas or, you know, Hawaii or Guatemala? Like
or why not just go to a creation museum or something?
Right.
I don't know.
So yeah, you've been there, you went with Israel Collective. Why be interested?
I think spiritually going to Israel is like romantically understanding the history and heritage of your spouse. You can get away with it by not, you know, my wife's from California and El Paso, and the parents are from Mexico, and I've kind of done that deep dive into all those areas. But what it does is it enriches your marriage when you do, and shows and explains things in a whole that verbalizing it and walking through, or in this case reading it, just doesn't do. Being there in the place, recalling the memory, the moment in time that was the defining moment. And I think on the spiritual level, Israel was that for me. It was going, okay, I love Jesus. I love, I know your history. You've told me, you know, in a sense, you told me through the scriptures your history, but show me now. Like, take me on a journey there. And so I think, you know, you can get by. You can get by not going. You sure can. You know, you can stay married not going. You can stay a believer in Jesus not going. Many people have, will, and do. But that enrichment, if you have the opportunity and it presents itself, the enrichment that it gives is, for me, was a beautiful thing.